From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
And Corey Clark.
Yeah, that's right. What's going on, everybody? I'm Aslan Hajavandi, joined by Corey Clark. Wake up! It's time for a live podcast, if you will. It's on video and live in living color. Hit the thumbs up button on YouTube, everybody. We would appreciate it greatly. And for all of you listening to us the day after on your podcast, on your commute, we thank you as well. Corey, how are you, friend?
I'm good, buddy. How are you doing? I apologize to everyone for the little bit of a late start. The traffic in Gwinnett County, Georgia isn't always the best. I tried to get home in time. Was a little bit late, but you know what? Why bring up old stuff? It started now. We're here now. Let the good times roll.
That is right, my friend. That is right. A promo code on the bottom of your screen, WarChant30 for 30 for days of access. We are brought to you by, per usual, by our friends at Zaxby's. They are indescribably good. Check them out. I need to go dinner there. I think this week I'm going to get back in there, pop the old 2021 cherry, and get my diet back up and running well on the right track with a salad, maybe. The salad.
Okay. All right. Okay. Sprinkle some cheese.
I always go for the fingers, Corey.
Oh, sorry. I should have known.
I don't mess around. All right, we got callers waiting in the queue. Before we get to them, thanks for hanging tight, folks who have been in the queue. We were able to speak. We got 3 people in the queue. We spoke to 3 people today. All SEC transfers, 2 from South Carolina, 1 from Auburn. Spoke to Jamie Robinson, not from Rock Hill, South Carolina, the other Jamie Robinson.
Right.
Kier Thomas, and then DJ Williams. DJ, a man of few words. Kier, they call him Pops. Jamie, I thought was a real star. We all need to set high goals, high standards, because that's what Florida State was built and predicated upon. So shoot for the stars. Maybe you land on the moon. Jamie Robinson wants to be, the most physical nickelback that's ever played ball at this university.
Yeah, that was the quote. He said, it was funny. He said the most physical nickelback ever at University of Florida State, and then he immediately corrected himself. It was like, no, I mean Florida State University. You got to work on that. He hadn't been here long enough. You give him a grace period there. And, I don't know that he knows that Jalen played nickel basically for his sophomore year, or that LaMarcus was sort of a nickelish guy his senior year. I don't foresee him being as physical as those 2 guys, but if he is, buddy, they got themselves a good one. But yeah, I thought he was the best of the bunch. Yeah, DJ, it felt like DJ was just there so he wouldn't be fined. That came across as like he's just doing what he's told to do. He doesn't like it. We know, we understand each other. He wasn't a big fan of that. His answer. I mean, he wasn't rude. Right. His answers were just very short and controlled. But yeah, I thought Jamie was great and really opened up about the recruiting process and watching film with the coaches on Zoom and how he made his decision.
So, of those 3 gentlemen, I thought Jamie, again, probably kind of stood out, stole the show. But are any of them any more important than the other, you think, when it comes to 2021 and this team, this defense? I guess not to hedge too much over that side of the ball, but does one of their play, you think, maybe bring about the sort of change that fans want to see, if they're able to perform to their ability the best they can? Oh,
well, yeah. I mean, I think the 2 defensive guys both have a shot. I think it's equal, right? Like, we don't know. I guess he's going to be an edge rusher to start out with, but he's, as he said, he can
edge rusher, or maybe he's like the Mario Edwards in this.
Yeah, he could be. Yeah, but he said he could play both sides, both spots on the line. But he's a grown man. I mean, he's 21, 22 years old. Jamie Robinson, he brought it up on your question. I didn't realize he was only 19. That means he was starting in the SEC as a 17-year-old, which is. So look, that's not normal. I mean, I know I'm certainly not I'm not a SEC homer by any stretch, but to start in the SEC and to play well in the SEC as a 17-year-old leads me to believe he's a little bit different. So if he has the impact that he seems to think he's going to have, then I guess I would go with him, because they certainly were not good. I mean, they weren't good anywhere in the secondary, really, but aside from Asante. But they certainly weren't good at nickel. They didn't cover any of that well at all.
Yeah. And he did have the best answer, basically, when asked, why come to Florida State? Or I don't know if that was a particular question, but he kind of caught himself, but then was like, I'm going to keep it real. So props to you, Mr. Robinson. basically saying, I've played in the SEC, I've looked at the ACC, I can thrive in the ACC. Basically pointing out that this conference, maybe not the A game hasn't been brought by all 14 members recently.
Well, look, yeah, he's not having to face Waddle and Devontae Smith and people like that in the ACC. But also, I thought it was interesting when he talked about what they told him about the nickel. Like, I'm sure it's not the easiest sell to somebody like Jamie Robinson or anybody really to come play for a defense that looks as bad as Florida State did. So when they got on the Zoom call with Jamie Robinson, they said, look, here's the play. Here's what the nickel was supposed to do. Here's what he didn't do. And basically, I don't know if he was speaking out of school, but he was like, look, I was told they were really bad at nickel last year. And nobody watching this show is going to argue with that, Jamie. But he was pretty forthright there. But like he was telling us what the coaches told him, like, look, we need a nickelback that can go make plays. Here's how a nickelback could thrive in our defense if we had somebody that could do it. So he obviously was it was appealing to him to watch that film of the defense and see maybe where he could thrive at that position as well.
All right. Well, that said, let's transition to the phone lines. Let's go to the representative from Virginia Beach, Virginia, Mr. Kirk, Gator Kirk, that is, wants to speak about coaching staff maneuvers possibly. What's going on, Gator Kirk?
Hey, what's up, Aslan? What's up, Corey? How you guys doing?
Fantastic.
Corey's got to get up from his nap a little bit earlier, to make it on time.
Whoa.
So.
Man, I had a rough day. I was also late to the press conferences this morning. Just completely forgot about them. But, I transcribed them all for everyone after the fact because Aslan was doing his job and getting the videos up. But, yeah, I apologize. My naps are getting in the way of my work now. That's when it's a bad sign.
No, I mean, naps are good. I mean, you're in your 40s. Wait till you get in your 50s. You're going to need like 2 a day. So.
I can't wait. The best thing I do on earth is nap. I'm an incredible napper. I can be up for 45 minutes and be like, you know what? I'm not feeling it, and go back to bed. And that's just how I roll, man. It's a gift, really.
Oh, man. Gator Kirk, what's going on?
Might be narcolepsy.
Well, it could be that too. Yeah.
So anyway, I was wondering, is there any word on who's going to replace Coach Locke as the director of high school relations? I mean, I know with all the other feelers we got out in the Southeast and up here in the Delmarva and everything, if we could lock down Florida a little bit, that would really help us.
Aslan, what do you got?
I'm trying to find the name. I know there was a name thrown out there of an assistant from Tennessee State who I think is actually from South Florida originally. That's the only name that I've seen out there. But that's obviously something they're monitoring. And I would think, to your point, I think we've talked about it maybe a week or two ago, someone that's got some pull in the 954, 305, 561, somewhere down there.
Why don't they get one of the guys off the Tennessee staff? Those guys know how to recruit.
We use Zaxby's bags in Tallahassee, so
that's true.
And
the problem with Zaxby's bags is they're plastic. You can see through them a little bit. They're hard to hold. Like a McDonald's bag, you can scrunch all up to hold everything in there. A Zaxby's bag's a little harder. But yeah, get on that, man. I guess it really doesn't matter if you're just handing wads of cash out to people. Kevin
Mashik, that's the name. You want me to pull it up on the screen, Corey? I don't want to get aggregated and then people, claim, according to warchant.com, this is who they're going after. But that's the only sort of name I've heard. What are you thinking about, Gator Kirk? What kind of guy do you want in there? Do you want someone that's got a specific geographical tie? Or are you going to be a homer and want someone that's got DMV ties?
No, I think it would be great. It would have it'd been great to get Monster to come in since Godzilla was there, but that's at Maryland. But I think maybe one of the guys that has already some ties in Florida that's been around for a while that's, can help and has a good reputation with all those coaches there to kind of help smooth some relationships. I mean, I think we do a good job. Just helps to have an in. And I think this year, if we can go on the tours and Norvell can continue what he did last year with all the meet and greets, that's going to help significantly and on all those aspects.
Yeah, and it's not so much smoothing over relationships as just getting them, developing them. You know what I mean? They just don't have a ton. They weren't able to get a foothold. And that, look, that's number one on his, obviously that's number one on his priority list when we can all go back and go out and do things again. He knows how important that is to develop relationships with the guys in the state, the coaches in the state. Honestly, I think that's probably number one on his list of things to do. And let's just hope it's sooner rather than later that he can go out and develop these relationships with these schools because he knows how important it is. He's not dumb, and he knows that if he can lock up the best in this state, he's probably going to have a really good program.
Yeah, but we're keeping tabs on her, mainly Ira. That's Ira's account. Everything's Ira's account. I kid. But yeah, we'll see how they go about filling that role. I don't know. I don't want him to feel like too obligated to sell out for South Florida, but doesn't do a whole lot of bad when you get good players from there usually. So, anything else for us, Gator Kirk?
All right. Well, no, sir. I appreciate everything you do. If all of you out there, if you're not a member of Warchant, make sure you subscribe. I'm sure, hopefully, with basketball doing well, baseball's going to start in about a month or so. Mm-hmm. You're missing a lot of content. Make sure you eat at Zaxby's. Thumbs up, and as always, go Noles. You guys have a great evening. I appreciate everything you do, and as always, I appreciate you taking my call. Have a great night. You enjoy.
There we go, Gator Kirk. If he was right around the corner, I would drop off a bag full of cash to him for all the nice things he says all the time. We appreciate it.
Do we know how much they were dropping? Like, what kind of money were they dropping in those bags?
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I wonder. Like, is like $2,500 enough? I don't know what the going rate is. I always remember when I was in Jackson, there was a top flight basketball recruit, and before him was a kid named Renardo Sidney, and we're all trying to figure out how much they were going to pay this kid Malik Newman to go somewhere. And I remember an assistant coach was trying to tell me that like Mississippi State threw like six figures at this Renardo Sidney kid to have him come play basketball in Mississippi State. I'm just like, no way. There's just no way. But you never know. There's a booster who cares a lot about basketball in that state. And, to him, successful businessman, like what's 150?
Yeah. And what better way to deliver it than in a McDonald's bag?
Well, who could tell? It's very incognito.
I think I would even go so far as to put the money inside a Big Mac.
Come on.
And have it you don't want a kid to take a bite and eat the money. You have to have the 50 like kind of out of the bun just a little bit so they see it, but it's secretive enough that not everybody, nobody watches somebody open up a Big Mac, but they'll watch them like look into their bag of that's how I would do it. Okay. Is I'd get it in the food a little bit.
So you'd put the secret money under the secret sauce.
There it is. It is. We did it.
Khalil Young in the house, getting this party started. There we go. Khalil dropping $20. We appreciate you, man. Asking us, how do you think the combine being canceled will impact college football? Would you be against Josh Kando coming back to school? I know Corey strongly dislikes him, LOL. But I remember when he was a really good player. When, Khalil? When was that? Like back?
He might have seen him in high school.
Okay. Not Virginia or IMG. I'm sorry. I was thinking about Josh Sweat. Maybe down in IMG. We need to figure out what's going on with Emmett Rice. That's another guy that I wonder what he's going to do with this happening.
Well, was it the deadline to enter yesterday?
I'll double check that. I know they dropped the news about pretty much like no combine, no individual.
Yeah, so they're not going to have the combine in Indianapolis this year, correct?
I don't think they were having like a organized workout anywhere. But
I think they said they were going to do like pro days, perhaps. Okay. They would do pro days, but they're not going to have the actual combine in Indianapolis in February like they normally do, which makes sense. I thought that, Monday Justin Fields still hadn't announced, and people were like, well, this is his last day to do it, and he hadn't announced. So I guess we don't have anything official on Emmett Rice, but I guess he could transfer. But I think if he was, I don't even know. You wouldn't have to put your name in because he's a senior. So he's not like he's declaring early. He's just, I don't know that he would have to put his name in, even though he has eligibility remaining. He also played 4 or 5 years or whatever it was. I don't know. In regards to Kando and not having the combine, no, I think he's just going to take his shot on pro day. And I did not dislike Josh Kane, though. He always came across as a very good person, a good human being. Maybe I just disliked his production from a position on the field where they needed a little bit more production. But I liked him, and he graded out well. He was good in the things he was good at. He was pretty good at setting the edge on the run. He could get some pressures every now and again. It's hard to play a full season and not get a sack and then declare for the draft. But it's a new world we're living in.
Yeah, so none of this is official. They're just saying that probably without the combine, there'll be more formalized pro days and sort of regionalized medical checks. So they're trying to work through all that to actually figure out what they're going to do moving forward. I would imagine if schools are going to hold pro days, they'll still show up, but there hasn't been any sort of
breaking news, Aslan. Breaking news. I guess we don't check Twitter enough. Our man Ira just texted and said that Emmett Rice tweeted that he is coming back.
Look at that. Look at that. Fantastic.
Ricer, we get one more.
Last dance. Last dance. Take it personal.
Yeah.
Personal, Emmett.
No, seriously, that is good news. I mean, he's by far their most experienced linebacker. He's by far their most experienced. He's their leading returning tackler. He has proven he can play at this level. Not always great. He's not Telvin Smith. He's not Derek Brooks. He's Emmett Rice. He's his own man, but he's proven he can play at this level. So that's a good get. I don't even know if Kendo could come back to school after I guess I don't. I should know this. I'm granting everyone that. The NBA you can declare and then come back. I don't know if there's that window still with the NFL where you could do the same thing. But if they were going to have one, this would be the year to have a window like that. But I think Kendo made his decision knowing that he's going to have to impress people at the combine. He'll get his share of the combine at a pro day where he'll get to do all the combine stuff. He'll just get to do it at Florida State instead of Indianapolis.
And most players outperform what they do at the combine their pro days. So
absolutely.
People saying they are declared, but I do wonder. I would.
Thank you, Khalil, for the tip, man. That's very, very nice. Thank you.
I would assume he already has an agent, so he's probably already received some sort of stipend or has been training and not paying for that sort of stuff. But who knows? Maybe they'll make exceptions to get these guys their eligibility back if they want to come back. However, sure enough, he's come back. So Emmett Rice comes back. So you're going to run a 4.25, Corey. 4.25 with, Jermaine Johnson, and then you got Fabian Lovett, Robert Cooper, Thomas on the other end, and then you throw out Emmett, throw out Amari out there, Dixon, cycle in. And then we got Akeem, you've got Jarvis Brownlee, Renardo Green, Jamie Robinson. Who am I forgetting?
Starting to get excited, starting to percolate a little bit.
Who am I forgetting? Who's our fifth defensive back?
Did you say Jamie Robinson?
Yeah. Who are the two safeties? Renardo Green and all right, nobody. All right, there we go.
Gibson Nasruddin.
Maybe Brendan Gant.
There you go, BG. I was going to say Kyler Hall, but it's Brendan Gant.
Carlos Becker III, running it back, year 7. Let's get this done. Let's take a phone call. Khalil, again, thank you. As Corey said, we do appreciate it. Sounds like you want him to come back, Khalil.
So big baby's coming back. You were wrong on Carlos Becker. He's the only veteran that is leaving. Carlos Becker. Yeah, you got to read text better, man. Ira just needs to be on. Can Ira call in? Can we get him on this? Send him the link. But yeah, it looks like Carlos Becker is the only. But again, big baby coming back is a good deal too. These guys aren't extra special, but they're solid. And when you're trying to go from the mud to just solid footing, you need solid players. And I think Emmett Rice and Bavion Johnson are solid players.
Could Bavion's coming back, or is that a joke?
No, yeah, he's coming back.
Okay. I can't keep up with all this stuff. This is crazy. Did this happen today with Carlos Becker? I can't believe it.
I think, according maybe they just updated the spring roster.
Okay. Broke my heart. All right, we got Daryl from Thomasville, North Carolina. Been waiting for nearly a half an hour. God bless him. What's going on, Daryl? How are you? Good evening.
How you doing, Corey? How you doing, Aslan? Hope y'all having a good evening. Who knows?
That's right.
Doing well, buddy. Doing well.
I wanted to ask y'all about. I know Alabama has given us a blueprint about winning football games. I wanted to ask you about. He's analysts. They have like I guess Butch Jones and some of these other former college coaches they brought on for analysts and stuff like that. Does Florida State not have the money to bring these guys on to be analysts, or does Norvell not invest in things like that?
No, it's more of a money issue. Alabama has enough money to pay. I mean, just run through the list, man. I think Sarkisian was even an analyst for him for a little bit. Charlie Strong, maybe Bill O'Brien. I can't remember if he was going over.
Major Applewhite, though.
Yeah, that's right. But they're just low. Butch Jones, he left Tennessee and became an analyst. They have so much money that they can pay these guys to not even be on the field coaches. And quite frankly, Daryl and everybody else listening, it's not a level playing field. And I brought this up on the wildly popular Seminole headlines, and I know Ira's watching this, so I love that I can make this comparison again. But it's like Formula One racing. Stock car racing, everybody's supposed to have the same car, the same engine, and it's basically just who's the better driver. It's all this. But Formula One, if you have the best car, you can spend $1 gazillion on your car, and they can't compete with your car. And that's where Alabama is right now. Florida State is almost not even playing the same sport. They have 40 quality control analysts. Florida State has 6 or 5 or 3. And it's just, I wish if there was a commissioner of NCAA football, the one thing I would do is limit the roster, limit the staff size. Like you can only have 21 guys total or 22 guys total, and that's it. Or 26, whatever the number is. Alabama can't be sitting there having 75 guys on their staff, breaking down everything, and you have 29 guys.
Sounds like communism to me, Corey. Sounds like communism to me. I'm not about that.
No, man, you got to level. It's what the NFL is. Like the NFL has a salary cap. Like honestly, you try to level the playing field as much as possible, and that just the gap is getting wider and wider.
I don't know how much of it really is, though. I mean, those guys that we mentioned, I don't think it's all that much money as it is the cachet of Alabama and Nick Saban helping your career, because all those guys are getting paid from their previous jobs. Like Major Applewhite's drawing a check from Houston. Butch Jones is drawing a check from Tennessee. They're getting paid like literally $40,000 from Alabama to come coach because they're drawing a check from their other job. A lot of it, man, just his Rolodex. Their offensive line coach is going to be like Sark took Kyle Flood with him to Texas. You know who they're going to get for their offensive line coach? They're saying like Doug Marrone. Guy was an NFL coach. Like he was an NFL head coach, offensive line coach. NFL head coach is going to be their OC. He's just so connected, so respected. And I don't know, man, people just like working for him despite the fact that he appears to be pretty.
Well, he's a career saver. I mean, look at the guys from Kiffin to Sarkisian to – I mean, Steve Sarkisian had to leave USC because he showed up drunk at a booster meeting, and he wasn't good there. And he showed up drunk as a skunk at a booster meeting 5 years ago or whatever that was. It was some sort of USC event where he was obviously plastered. And he goes to Alabama for a few years. Now he's the head coach at Texas. Lane Kiffin gets fired in disgrace at USC, doesn't even get to be on the team playing, and now he's the head coach in the SEC. He is the career resurrector, but it also has to do with they're going to Alabama. I mean, I get it. I would go to Alabama. I don't even know if we answered your question, Daryl, but it's the haves and the have-nots right now, and there's about 2 halves in the country when it comes to this. The SEC, but also the SEC, the gap is widening because of the TV money, and I don't know what can be done to solve that. It'd be cool if the ESPN just paid everyone the same, but that doesn't appear to be happening.
I got one more thing for you. Have you seen where Alabama going into next season has the opportunity to tie Florida State for 14 years with a 10 win season if they win 10 games or 10 games or more. I think Florida State won 14 years winning 10 games or more.
I would say, honestly, because they play so many games now, back then Florida State was playing it was an 11-game season, and they were winning 10. Like every year they were 10-1 or 10-2 or 11-0. I think what the record that Florida State fans should be holding on to and gripping, and I don't think it'll ever be broken, is 14 straight top 5 finishes. Because Alabama's not there. And that's the one. Yeah, I did see that. I mean, Clemson's going to be coming up to 10 wins soon. They got to be close to a decade in a row of 10 win seasons. But I think the one that Florida State fans should really embrace the most is the top 5 finishes, because that shows where you are really, that you were one of the 4 best teams in the country for 14 straight years. Alabama can't say that. And so, yeah, but I'm sure Alabama will tie the record and then pass the record the year after that.
All right, guys. So y'all do an absolutely great job each and every week that y'all own, and I sure enjoy hearing you. I say go Noles, eat Zaxby's, subscribe to Warchant, and hit that thumbs up. And I enjoy listening to each and every day that y'all own. God bless. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you, Daryl.
Much
What are you
obliged.
looking up, Aslan? You seem like you're in.
I'm trying to find this tweet that does a good job of kind of getting to the point of what Daryl's asking, or just pointing out how different it is. There's a radio guy in Seattle. I mentioned on the show probably a few years ago, which I can say now. Like, we're coming up 3 years we've been doing this show.
Unbelievable. It seems just like yesterday.
It does, man. But a radio guy in Seattle was talking about how a source had told him that Saban and all of his analysts, all the analysts in Alabama, were going back all the way into 2007 at Boise, and then whoever his OC was, maybe Brian Harsin, wherever he had been prior to that, their analysts were going that far back to look at every single play that Boise and Washington and any offense that the OC and Chris Peterson had been a part of.
Yeah.
So and going back and looking at every single play. That's the amount of preparation Alabama has over, I don't know, Mississippi State, plus all these amazing players on top of it. It's obscene. It's crazy. But it's not illegal, although they probably should put something in there, as you said. Look at you. I didn't know you were such a Formula One buff. Schumacher guy?
Lewis Hamilton guy.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. So I only know that because as I explained on the show, the only reason I know that is because my brother-in-law is British. So he's a huge Lewis Hamilton fan, and he bores me with it all the time. But again, I remember you remember the great Days of Thunder with Tom Cruise? His goal was to be an Indy driver.
Okay.
And he's like, look, he's like, stock car is stock car. You just get in there and drive. And then Robert Duvall gets all bent out of shape. He's like, there's nothing stock about a stock car. He goes, no, I just mean all the cars are built to run the same. So all I have to do is be the better driver. And then he learns lessons along the way, Aslan. He becomes friends with the guy his rival. He meets Nicole Kidman. He shows her what drag is and everything else, and drafting off someone on her thigh. Great movie, guys. Go check it out.
All right, fantastic. All right, let's go, man. Thomas Giddings, welcome to the show, big dog. Let's go.
Great cash, homie.
I mean, that's $100 American right on our screen. It's touch it. I can't feel it, but I could touch it almost.
You can get warm off it.
Thomas, what's going on? Aslan, Corey, love the show. Listen to every episode. Sorry I can't be a better pillar, but some of us wake up at 3 a.m. for work and can't catch all the live shows. Man, don't you apologize. You live, man. You keep living out there, Thomas. Love the show as always. Subscribe to Warchant, eat a Zaxby's, and a 5-star and a thumb up on YouTube. I mean, Thomas, you just want to be nice to us. Thomas, how about you post a question or maybe a song you like? We'll use that as the intro song for this show, for the podcast. So post below somewhere here on our YouTube feed. Amazing, Thomas. Thank you so much, man. That's incredible.
Well, T. Giddy coming up huge out of nowhere. That's like a half-court three we didn't see coming. That's good stuff, man. I'd love to know what you wake up at 3 for.
Oof, I know. Maybe he works out before he goes into the office.
I'll be honest with you. I guess I am interested in that. I'm always interested in our listeners, what they do for a living. But I'd want to know what time he has to go to sleep each night. He's got to be coming up on his bedtime.
Yeah.
I mean, another 2 hours, right? Don't you have to go to? you have to go to bed at 8 at night. You watch Jeopardy and then say that's a wrap. That's a wrap. Got to hit the sheets. I mean, that's I wonder what. Yeah, that's But we do appreciate it, man, very much, Thomas. That's very, very nice, man. Thank you so much for that. And you're a pillar. You're a great pillar. Don't sell yourself short.
When I worked in television, people in the morning crew would go to bed between 6 and 7 o'clock in the evening, and then I'd be leaving at 2, 3 in the morning, and they'd be rolling in.
I've always thought about that, like the Howard Sterns of the world. And I mean, his whole life he's had to get up at 5 a.m. And I wonder, like, if I would just like go to bed at like 2, sleep for a couple hours, go work, and then come back and sleep some more. Yeah. I just don't think I could do, like, how do you stay in tune with the world, especially sports, if you're going to bed at 8 at night because you don't get to watch anything?
Well, I'm up all the time, and apparently I didn't know that Emmett Rice was coming back. So,
oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. Good point.
Oh, man. Yeah, I don't know. I've been on Twitter a decent amount today, but apparently he did. He said it yesterday. I don't know. Anywho, Thomas, thank you very much. Much obliged. Again, shout us out at the bottom here on YouTube somewhere. Let us know like your favorite jam or something or a question, and we'll put the song in the show and your question as well. Pivot. Mark Adamczyk, our buddy in Naples, is also on the phone line, so let's bring him on in. Dropping 78 bones to pay tribute to him and the crew for what they did at what we used to call Freedom Hall. What's going on, Mark?
Wake up, boys! Wake up!
That is right, man.
Yeah, I have more of a football-oriented question, but I got to pay tribute to the team last night. I mean, with Polite out and MJ only scoring 2 points. I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen a better team victory out of Hamilton's team. Maybe there is one, but on the road against a good Louisville team, it's like I feel like ever since they came back from COVID, it's like aside from the beatdown of NC State, it's like when the game gets a little close, you never feel like they're going to lose control and they just keep their composure. It's just such a good sign.
Yeah, I think they had 5 or 6 guys in double figures yesterday. Raekwon Gray was good again. Raekwon Evans was good again. Wyatt Wiltz had 13 in his first or second start of his career. Yeah, man, it's just what it is. You're right. That's a really good point that it was a total team win. They kind of all feel like they are these days, but that more than most because they did have a huge lead that got cut down to 8. And then Balsa makes 2 or 3 huge plays in a row to kind of put the game out of reach. Malik Osborne comes through again. Yeah, man, it's pretty remarkable what he's doing and what he's done. And this team, that's a pretty good 3-game stretch they just had. To beat 3 teams, 2 of them were blowouts. 1 was on the road against a previously ranked team. Yeah, good team. Leonard's got it rolling over there.
Yeah, well, they'll hopefully be ranked soon enough. So yeah. I guess you guys had a chance to talk to the transfers this week, and it got me curious. So, like, out of the things you've heard around campus and the comments you heard from the transfers themselves, do you think it's more of them looking at FSU as a team that has been awful the last couple of years and they can just get immediate playing time? Or do you think it's more that they believe in Norvell and his vision and his record as a coach? I happen to believe the latter because, but then again, you never know. I mean, these guys want to get to the league and they want playing time, but it could be a combination. So what is your gut feeling on, the main reason we're getting a lot of these great transfers?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to be a cop-out here, but it is a combination. Look, Mackenzie Milton loved what he saw from Mike Norvell when they played against each other. Like that offense put up 50 on his team, his national championship team. That offense put up 50. So he knows that Norvell can coach. And so that is appealing. But also, like I've said earlier, that uniform is appealing. It's an iconic brand, Mark. I think you know that. It's an iconic brand. So I think just the name Florida State still resonates. Jameis wasn't that long ago. Those 29 straight wins wasn't that long ago. So it still resonates with kids of this age. And they, but I do think, I don't think Milton would have gone anywhere. I think he does believe in this guy. He does believe in his vision. I think somebody like Jamie Robinson, especially because like we just talked about, he's just 19. So he's going to be playing for at least a couple more years, you think. And this isn't just a 6-month decision for him or a 9 or 12-month decision. This is a couple years. So you better believe in where you're going because losing's terrible. He just felt that firsthand at South Carolina. That was a terrible team and a terrible defense. So you wouldn't want to just keep subjecting yourself to that when you have other options, as these guys clearly do. So, yeah, I think the Florida State brand helps. I think for somebody like Jermaine Johnson, I think he could have gone to a number of different places. And obviously he's moving on to Florida. He's moving on from Georgia to help his NFL stock. But again, he's not going to UTEP He could shine at UTEP too. He's coming to Florida State because I think he does believe in Norvell, and he also, he's getting the playing time. So again, that's a cop out. It's a combination of those, but I don't think it's a coincidence. I don't think if Aslan was coaching Florida State, these guys would be coming here.
Oh, come on, please.
I think it does have something to do with Norvell as well.
I love how you always pick on UTEP, Corey. Is that because you're jealous that you didn't get to go to El Paso with Aslan?
Absolutely what it is.
It must be. I don't know where my deep-seated, apparently, animosity towards UTEP comes from. Maybe I was just a big fan of that Kentucky team in '66. Wasn't that the Texas Western team that turned into UTEP? I literally don't know where that comes from. That was a joke, by the way, everyone. Great movie. I like Glory Road. I think that was the name of it. It was a pretty good movie. But yeah, I don't know where that comes from. But that's always from here on out, folks. That's my go-to is UTEP.
Yeah, when they had their gift suite brunch or dinner for the bowl game last year, they had it in one of the athletic rooms in the stadium, and there was a huge mural on the wall of that '66 basketball team. And they all took a bunch of them took photos in front of it and stuff because they realized it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what Corey said, although Jamie Robinson is the real interesting one because Keir Thomas is from Florida. Obviously South Carolina is not a very enticing place to be at right now. Ryan Helinski left. These guys have left as well. So I'm really interested that Jamie Robinson picked. I mean, Jermaine Johnson is pretty clear. He's coming here just to play on the edge and just run after the quarterback and try to get double-digit sacks and work himself up into a first-round pick maybe. Keir Thomas is from the state of Florida. Why not, close out your career closer to home when you have kind of a dysfunctional school that you just left, and at least this guy's got everything kind of under control. But I would think that Jamie Robinson had some options, man.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many – Mackenzie Milton, I'm sure there's somebody wanted him, but, it's Florida State. To be the starting quarterback here, pretty good gig. I'd say 60-40, though. It's playing time because these guys know that, I mean, they did these Zoom calls. They know they're coming in and playing immediately, and they don't, So it's kind of interesting because you want, right culture guys, family and fit. You want guys that want to come here and earn it, and they're not going to slack off, I don't think, but there is a bit of sort of comfort, I think, in them arriving here, knowing that they're going to, these jobs are waiting for them to simply take them. So
and we've talked to these guys, at least, what do we talk to, 5 of them now?
Yeah.
As much as you can glean from a 10 or 15-minute conversation, I feel like they've hit these guys seem like the real deal off the field as well. At least they're saying all the right things. Other than our man DJ, who just didn't want to say anything at all. But even the things he said were polite. They seem to be guys that you wouldn't be worried about in a locker room. Now, again, we only know them on the surface, but they certainly struck you as that, didn't they, Aslan? As guys that could fit in a locker room?
Yeah, man. Yeah, they want to it's a brotherhood, man. Jamie Robinson said that's already what he's sort of recognized being here in such a short amount of time. So, and yeah, they want to work. I mean, he talked about his first tour of duty. Norvell put it on him, really made him work hard for it and kind of saw the flip side of nice guy Mike becoming drill sergeant Mike. So he's all about it. So we're not complaining about it, Mark, right? Talent, however you can get talent that's not going to be disruptive and is going to produce, you take it. That's what they did. 5 guys, 5 of them, maybe even more once they get here. Parchment and such. So.
Yeah, I think 60-40 is about right. I mean, they're not going to come here and play for a losing team without knowing that there's a competent staff with a new vision that's going to, bring back some accountability and some good old FSU football. So thank you guys so much, and keep it rolling. Go Noles. Nothing else to say. Just you guys are the best. Have a great night.
Mark from Naples, man, we appreciate you. Mad AMCZ on the warchant.com.
Thank you very much, man. That's very, very generous. Thank you very much.
Call the man now, dog. $78 from Mark. Khalil threw 20 earlier. Thomas, 100, leader in the clubhouse. Oh, but wait, Khalil's back.
Man, Khalil.
Let's go, Khalil.
Making my ends.
Good grief, 100 on top of the 20 or 3. That gets you up.
Right. Thank you very much, Khalil, man. That's awesome. Thank you so much, buddy.
Khalil's like, I'm sorry, he's retro. That's like his nickname's going to be retro. Khalil old, not young. Hey-o. Who's the second best conference on a consistent basis over the last 10, 15 years behind the SEC? I think the ACC, though it has seemed weak because FSU has fallen off the last 3 years, I just think the ACC has more respectable teams than the Big Ten outside of Clemson and FSU.
Yeah, it's hard. Everybody's kind of fighting for second place. It's not the Pac-12. They haven't really done – well, they haven't done anything since Pete Carroll left, have they? Really?
Yeah, Washington made the playoff a few years ago.
And then they got housed.
They played Alabama stronger than Notre Dame did, I think.
Yeah, maybe. It just did. That game never seemed in doubt either. Michigan State made it, and that game was not even close when they made it. I guess. I just think ACC's been, I don't want to say top heavy because they're awful at the bottom. And every year there's 3 or 4, including Florida State this year. There's 3 or 4 just really bad teams, but every conference has those. I think in the middle, you have teams that have become decent. NC State is a decent program. Boston College can be a decent program. Louisville, Virginia Tech, Pitt. Would you say Pitt's a decent program, an okay program?
You are now in the host room.
Aslan, did I lose you?
You're here. The call dropped out. I had to dial back into the queue. I accidentally unmuted myself and knocked you off your heater. Keep it going, man. Pitt, no, I wouldn't say Pitt yet. No.
But I mean, Pitt's the equivalent of like, I don't know, man. Kansas State.
Man. LSU, Alabama.
No, not SEC. I'm comparing to other ones. Like Pitt's the equivalent of like Kansas State. Or
yeah.
Arizona. I just think I would say, look, it's by a measure of a few degrees, but I think I would agree on that. I think when you have Florida State and Clemson really going, the only other conference that can compete with that is the SEC, obviously. Florida State and Clemson are 2 of the prominent programs in the nation. They need Florida. The ACC does need Florida State to get back. We all need it. We all need it, Khalil. We all need Florida State to get back. So when they're good, when both of them are good, like was the case from like 12 to 15, 12 to 16, half a decade. I'd even say 10 to 16. That's a good program. Plus you sprinkle in every now and again, you're going to sprinkle in a Virginia Tech or maybe, Miami, not Miami, NC State, North Carolina. These teams can have some runs and be decent programs. And who is it in the Big Ten? It's Ohio State and what?
Not Michigan. I mean, Penn State. But, Penn State hasn't been in the playoff.
Michigan hasn't.
Michigan State made the playoff, but, I've never, Michigan State's actually a fairly decent program, but I never take them seriously for whatever reason. As like someone that belongs on the same block as us. But
well, they don't. They don't have nearly the history that Florida State does.
We joke about it, but Notre Dame counts, man. The last, the last 6 years, they've played an ACC schedule in addition to some of their other rivalries. So, I'm going to take credit for it. So, yeah, that's,
I'd say the last 5, 6, 8 years since Manti's tragedy with his girlfriend. Notre Dame's been a top 10 program, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got Clemson's obviously been a top 10 program. Florida State was there. Florida State was the top program for a stretch. So, yeah. There we go. We're going to say ACC's number 2.
Okay. Let's keep it rolling. Khalil, thanks again, man.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you so much.
Kirk Noel in the house. Shane Kirkley, fire it off. Fire it off.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Let's go, Shane. He's
Kirk dog.
Still waiting on that URL to order that swag. You mentioned a countdown till Notre Dame. Where's the countdown to the Garnet and Gold game? Let's go. I don't know. We don't know if this. We don't know what time. We don't know when spring's starting. When the spring game is. What we do know is we sit here now, 229 days until Notre Dame comes down for their comeuppance.
The 229. We're at 229 right now. All right.
Greg Reed, Moultrie, Colquitt,
Towns. Yep.
There you go. Yeah. I don't know, but we're gonna have customer listener appreciation. Kirk Noel, you're gonna be there. Shane, we're gonna have a chair. Maybe like you, Ray, James B, Ed. Maybe Khalil's even working his way. Like maybe we'll have like their names on the chairs and everything too.
Like director chairs.
Yeah.
Where this is where you sit, guys. You sit. This is your throne for the next 2 hours. I don't know if we do like a We could do it the day of the Garnet and Gold game, like as a big tailgate, like rent a spot in the parking lot. Gene's got connections. We can do that. Or do it the night before or the night after, the night of the game. We got to figure that out. We're still spitballing it. But yeah, we'll let you know when the countdown's on.
Trying to get us back up and running on Instagram or whatever these kids look at these days. Struggle bus for your boy here. Shane, we appreciate it, man.
Hey, next time, Shane, I want to know how you became a Florida State fan. That goes for you too, Khalil. I want to know how you became a Florida State fan, how long you've been a Florida. Anybody that's asking us a question, tell us how it happened. Aslan went to school, but I think you were a Florida State fan before that, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I grew up as one because of my dad. So yeah, I want to know how you guys became so involved and invested and engaged with Florida State football, or Florida State athletics, I should say. The
rebellious culture of Florida State's what got me going, man.
Yeah, that's right.
Renegade program, let's go. I'm all about that. All right, I give up on Instagram. Let's focus on the people that are here with us in the here and now. I'm gonna be present where my feet are at. James B, what's going on, man? Welcome to the show, big dog. Let's go. Horn Gang. He is part of the Horn Gang.
Straight cash, homie.
Corey, missed you during happy hour.
Thanks, James. You're the first person to say that. I appreciate that. I feel like everybody probably thought it was a nice change of pace to have somebody that actually knows what he's talking about on the show.
Oh, stop it. Corey Clark, do you like DJ Williams out of Auburn over Jayshon Corbin, over Toafili? Personally, James B says he hopes for Toafili at running back 1.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I haven't watched enough of DJ. He's a thick kid. He's a big kid. I feel like him and Corbin could have similar roles or similar styles just because they're thick. Big kids that could be good short yardage guys. But yeah, no, I'm with you, man. Toafili's my guy. I think Toafili is your starter. He's the guy you try to get the most carries. Those guys are changes of pace, but they're all going to play. I'll be interested to see. I shouldn't pencil in Toafili as the starter, but let's go with the theory that he is the starter. I'd be interested to see who is second team, quote unquote. But they're going to play. They're going to play both of them, and they're going to maybe put somebody in the slot, Toafili in the slot. Some they'll have avenues for all those guys to play. But I like Corbin at the end, man. I think a lot of us are kind of still remember Corbin from the first few games where he just looked kind of like. He was powerful, but he wasn't. He seemed less than explosive. And I thought the last couple of games he played, he looked like a different running back. So I liked him. I thought once he got healthy, he was a very capable back.
I miss LaDamian, but what are you going to do? He left.
Hey, you want to go back to Alabama?
Enjoy Troy. Playing Louisiana, Coastal Carolina. Those big games, big time games. Enjoy those. Or you can play Notre Dame. Week 1.
Thanks, James B. But thank you, James B. We appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah. Caller, sorry to keep you waiting, but apparently there's still people just throwing American currency at us. And I don't know what I'm supposed to do other than take the money and run. Thomas Giddens is back. Thomas, you could have just said something. You didn't have to throw the money at us. Come on, let's go.
Dollar bills, y'all.
He works his second job at Costco. You're working 2 jobs and you're throwing money. Stop it, Thomas.
Man.
Corey, when you get a day off, you can stay up for the live shows. I am FL Giddings on Warchant. Any chance you guys catch an FSU hockey game?
I have not. No.
No, there's a club program, but I've never seen one of their games. I remember one of my buddies that I played hockey with growing up actually played club for Florida for UF. And actually, one of my roommates might have even played club hockey for Florida State. I've never been to one of the games, but maybe this is the year, 2021. Try something different.
Well, I don't think I've ever been to a club FSU sporting event like lacrosse. They have a club baseball team where the Tim Becker kid came a couple years ago and led him to the College World Series off that team. I don't think I've ever been to an FSU club sport.
I did live play-by-play at a FSU lacrosse game. And the captain was my buddy's friend. He was like, "Hey man, you got a great voice. Why don't you come do play-by-play for us?" So they have this makeshift table with a mixing board and a microphone for me. And then he hands me this device, this rectangular glass white device. He's like, "All of our music is on this thing." I'm like, "What?" It was an iPod. It was like the first generation iPod. I'd never.
You're like, what is this in my hand?
Yeah, I don't know.
What is this miracle?
Yeah, it was amazing. And I'm just like, he's like, yeah, it's a wheel. And I'm like, and I'm just going through all of it. I'm just picking music in between breaks. And I'm like, give it up for your Seminoles. Let's go. It was good times.
So you were the PA guy that the people in the crowd could hear?
Yeah.
Oh, I got you. You weren't being like, and then Johnson passes it to Robinson, who throws it underneath the Jones.
I threw a sprinkle a little bit of that in, but I don't is there an ice rink in Tallahassee? I didn't even know there was an ice rink in Tallahassee.
I don't know. I guess maybe get on a frozen pond.
There we go. All right, we appreciate you, Thomas.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you so much, buddy.
Yeah, man. Get you some sleep.
Yeah.
I mean, good grief. It's late for you probably.
Thank you very much.
What is it? Shane, what are you doing, man? What are we doing, Corey? What is he doing?
Big ball and smashing, making my ends.
I'll tell you what. So he says that he's $229, one for each day till we start off the year with a win. A great thought. And then he also says he's going to be there as a new booster and a season ticket holder. Let's go. And I'm telling you what, Florida State, smart move to go after somebody like Shane and try to make him a booster. We got a few people on this show that you need to be reaching out to, man. But yeah, that's you get the big money. You get SK, Big Kirk Dog. That's awesome, Shane. Thank you so much, buddy, and congratulations on being a booster and a season ticket holder. I hope you get to watch a good football team in 2021.
I can't believe Shane.
Shane, we like you, man.
This is incredible.
Dollar bills, y'all.
229 after he donated 100, tipped us $100 already.
He's getting his own director's chair. He might have his own parking spot. We'll get him his own parking spot next to the Big Ten.
Khalil says, my dad is a Florida State fan, so I grew up as one.
There you go. That's how I was. You get indoctrinated early when your dad's like diehard like mine was. I feel bad because I'm not nearly as diehard with anything really as my dad was with Florida State football. So I don't know Brady's fandom. I'm still questioning who he really cheers for. I think he cheers more for players than teams. And I need to get him out of that habit. He's almost 13 now. He's got to pick a team and ride and die with it.
I was about to say, at this point of Brady's life, when you were his age, were you already all in with Florida State, or was it kind of beginning?
Oh yeah, man. That was the start of the dynasty when I was his age. So I and I was lucky enough that my dad would take me to games and road games, like the Michigan games and the Notre Dame games. Yeah, man, I was living and dying with it. I would watch. My dad got me a subscription to the Osceola. I can't imagine there was another seventh grader in the world that was reading the Osceola and excited, all right, man, it's Wednesday, it should be here, and run into the mailbox when I got home so I could read it. Because in Atlanta in 1988 and 89, it's not like you could read a lot about Florida State, and there was no internet. So that was cool to be able to read all the quotes and read all the stories after a game. It's the service we give you guys now.
In real time.
That's right.
Ed's here, everybody. Ed Lemick's in the house. 50 Bones. His better half, Courtney, said she wants her and I to have our name on a chair. Certainly. Well, how about your name? We'll put both of your names so she can sit in your lap?
I think they each deserve a chair.
Well, we got to keep some distance still, and I don't know how many chairs are expensive. Again, these
are that's true. That's true.
Ed said he graduated in 79, Bowden's early years.
Yeah, man, that was a good – so he was there for the start when they were terrible right up until they went undefeated in 79. That was the best time to be at well, no, it wasn't. But it was a cool time to be at Florida State to see the program take off like that.
I wonder, guys that applied to go to Florida State in 78. It's based off, I don't know, just – it was such a big deal to me. All my friends came to Florida State because Florida State was going to that was the third straight year they'd been in the BCS national title game. 96 they played for a championship, 97, 98, in 99. So growing up, our formative years in high school, deciding we're going to go for college, it's Florida State's killing it. Which is funny when we talk about these kids, mentioning Jameis and Jalen Ramsey. For these guys, that's their vintage. If you're a 19, 20-year-old kid, you grew up watching Jameis Winston light up teams. So, we still have that right now, which is always crazy about how like players in 2006 and 7 were still like coming to Florida State. It's like, man, when you were in middle school, like we were getting housed by NC State.
Right. Yeah, but that's right. Well, yeah, like the LaMarcus Joyner, Florida State hadn't really been good since he was 8 or 9 years old when he chose Florida State. Shanna, my ex-wife, had the perfect. So she grew up a Florida State fan too because her dad was in the music school there, and then so she grew up a Florida State fan. Then she went to Florida State. I think '96 was her first year, and she graduated in '99. She never saw them lose at home. They played for 3 national championships when she was there. She won one of them. She got to go to one because of this guy. Well, that's not true. This guy's dad. And then, you imagine going to school for 4 years and never seeing your team lose at home. And then what we're watching now. But, hey, it's turning around, folks. It's turning around. We're not just reliving yesteryear. We're going to get this thing. Courtney and Ed, we really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Well, shoot, I think my brother's friends, because they graduated high school in '98. So I think like that Miami game was the first loss they saw at home in 2001. Like, they got here and rocket ship, killing it. Shane also mentions, been saying for years I was going to get tickets and join the boosters. Finally doing it this year. Let's go.
Good work, Shane. Good work, man. And thank you so much for being a part of Warchant as well.
We got 2 callers that have been in the queue for a long bit, so let's take those. That'll be the last calls. So we also got Chris from Perry. But first, we got Wes in the Villages. What's going on, Wes? How are you, man?
Doing well, fellas. How are you?
Good. Thanks for hanging out, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, the only 2 people I would stay on hold for over 30 minutes are you 2, so you should feel special.
I do, man.
Hey, Wes, when you're on hold, can you hear us?
Oh, yeah, I'm listening. Yeah, I'm cutting in and out doing things and popping back in, waiting to see when I'll be on. Kind of,
you hear us? Are you watching us on?
In and out.
Are you watching us? Is that how you hear us, or do you hear us on the phone?
You can hear us, Wes. When you're on the phone,
I can do.
Go ahead.
I can hear you. I can do both. Like if I pull it up on the Warchant Facebook page, the live feed will pop up, or I can hear you in the phone, depending on which one I'm doing.
Okay, all right. I'm just curious.
Or phone or setting it down.
All right. Yeah, I was just curious. All right. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Yeah. No worries. So real quick for you mentioned Kendo. So he declared for the draft. He cannot come back and play football once you declare. If he were an underclassman and he declared, he could come back and get his degree, but he still couldn't play ball. So Kendo is, done basically with football.
And I kind of wish they would switch that.
Anybody.
And they really need. I would like them to look at that again because so many kids. You're talking about dozens, maybe 50 or 60 kids each year declare and don't get drafted. And then it's like, well, do we have their best interest at heart? If then they can't go back and play again. Like I know they got. Just say that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much money an agent's spending to train a Josh Kendo, but whatever he'd owe, say he can pay it back when he's done playing college football. But I don't know. I just think it's unfair if Kendo doesn't get drafted and really wants to go back to school. There's no avenue for him to go back to school, continue his education, and play football. It just seems punitive. Like if you declare and you don't get drafted, you should be able to go back, in my opinion. But anyway, I know that's not why you didn't call. I know that's why, and I can't even say it. That's not why you called, Wes. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, but you can in baseball though. It's just football and basketball for sure. I read it, but baseball, I guess you can, but not in football and basketball.
Well, no, basketball you can.
I meant to tell you, I missed you on.
In basketball, you can too. Dwayne Bacon did it a few years ago. He declared and then came back. You have a window, but I don't think football you even have a window.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah. So also, I missed you on the call-in show. Your expertise. Everybody else held it down and did a good job, but I figured you must have drew the short straw and got to get a pass and didn't have to be on Thursday night.
Well, I thought my thinking was people see me all the time, and if Ira's in the mix, like we need to sprinkle Ira in more because again, he's a smart guy and he needs a little more FaceTime. So I was taking one for the team. I know, and look, I know everybody likes me more than Ira. How could you not? I mean, that's crazy. But we throw him a bone every now and again since he runs the site.
There you go. Hey, so about my question. So, excuse me, we think they're going to take another offensive tackle on the transfer, and let's assume that they do. Do you think they'll slide Love Taylor over from guard to tackle, or do you think they'll keep him at guard? And also with that, last month call-in show, we were talking about potential guys coming back for that extra year. And I threw out Bavion Johnson at the time. Aslan kind of chuckled, and you said, yeah, it was maybe a possibility. And I believe we did get news today that Bavion's returning.
True. And I don't think that's a small development. I think that guy, if nothing else, gives you a lot of depth. The guy that's played a ton of football here. And I was pretty good this year, I thought. Not great as far as, but good or solid anyway. Devontae Love-Taylor, yeah, I mean, look, I don't want this to be a cop-out. It depends on how good the guy is. Like, they're not going to move Devontae Love-Taylor from tackle to guard if they're replacing him with a worse tackle. But if they got a guy of very similar skill set, or certainly better, then yes, they would slide him to guard, because I think they'd like him there too. I think DLT is going to be on the line somewhere, and if they have to slide him to guard to get another good tackle in place, then yes, that's what they would do. But we'll see. I don't know what's going to be available in the portal, if they're going to go the JUCO route. But yes, I definitely think they need they need one more. And yeah, if they get somebody they feel comfortable in, then yeah, they'll slide them over, because they want the 5 best. And Devontae Love-Taylor is he's maneuverable enough that they can maneuver him to guard. He can play both positions. He's versatile enough, which is a very good quality to have. Right, Aslan? You agree with that, right?
Well, I would think, since they're trying to go after a tackle specifically, that they want to have Rob Scott and then like a better quality transfer that slide, Love-Taylor on the interior, and then you have Schrader, Lucas, and then Bavion kind of fighting for that other guard spot. When you bring in a transfer, Robert Scott and then Darius Washington can back one of them up, and you can swing Love-Taylor out there. Because I think Love-Taylor is probably more apt and more able to transition to the inside than it would be for Robert Scott. And whoever the grad transfer is, they're not going to come here and playing tackle their whole career and come here to move into the inside. So it's a good problem. They're being choosy with it right now. So I think that does mean that they're looking for a tackle, particularly because they want to keep Scott out there and then move Love-Taylor on the inside.
And they're not going to just take someone to take someone.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're being pretty persnickety about it. Those are Bavion's grades, by the way, on the screen. I didn't realize, man, he had 4 games where he graded out over 80 in pass blocking. Yeah.
I mean, not great run blocking, but yeah, he did a more than serviceable job pass blocking, and then his run blocking wasn't great. But hey, give him a break. He can't do everything.
It's a good start.
And that offensive line, who would have thought? I mean, you get a tackle transfer, Maurice Smith probably back at, obviously at center. What a difference 2 years will make on that offensive line. Atkins, amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and they're not incredible, right, Wes? But we don't want incredible. You don't need incredible right now. You need something that's not a turnstile. And for the previous 3 years, they were basically like just walking into a Publix. You just walked through there. Now, at least last year, it was like a Publix when it was closed. You had to work to get through it. What a great analogy on the spot too, guys. You guys just witnessed brilliance. But yeah, they weren't a turnstile, man. And so they will be better next year, because we saw how much better they got in 1 year. They're still not going to be incredible next year, but they'll be maybe up to pretty good. And imagine this team with a pretty good offensive line from where we were just a few years ago. What a great what a great step in the right direction that would be.
All right, Wes.
It's been miserable for years to hear these analysts talk about how bad the offensive line is at Florida State and just keep hammering it. So it'll be nice to be like, okay, finally, it's a position of strength instead of just getting poked at all the time. So that's
exactly right,
and that'll just help everything on the offense. So hey, real quick, so you asked about how we became Florida State fans there, Corey.
Yeah.
So I moved to Central Florida in the early '90s, and everybody around Leesburg, the Ocala, all central, of course, everybody's Florida fans, and it just made me crazy. And so I naturally just transitioned and chose Florida State, hopped right in and followed them, and obviously became a fan at a great time. But so to answer your question, that's how I became a Florida State fan, and so I haven't looked back since. Hey,
that's a good reason to be an anti-Gator. We can all get behind that kind of reason. And yeah, what a perfect time.
I know Aslan can appreciate that.
Absolutely. Just you surround yourself, but if you see Gator fans in the wild, like if you're around them and you don't know anybody, like, I don't want any part to do with these people.
Yeah, I can't be around. I can't associate with this. I've got to choose I got to be a polar opposite. So yeah, good work, Wes.
Appreciate the call, Wes.
All right, fellas. Hey, yeah, I appreciate it. Y'all have a good evening. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe to Warchant, eat that Zaxby's, and go Noles. Have a good one, fellas.
Tell them about it. Tell them about it. Wes in the Villages, we appreciate you. We'll get to Chris here in a quick second. Bradley Wilson was asking, what's the Warchant promo code for HelloFresh again? It might not be working right now. I know it's going to start working again next week, but you can try it for 10 free meals. Wake up 10. Wake up 10, Bradley. That is the promo code. We appreciate you asking. All right, let's go ahead. Let's grab Chris. Last call of the night. He wants to talk about some of the players we spoke to earlier today, apparently. Chris, welcome to the program. How are you, man?
What's up, guys? Pretty good. I just cooked up some steaks, so I can't complain.
There you go. What kind? What cut of the cow, buddy?
Oh, come on, ribeyes. You know better.
All right. Bone in?
No.
Okay.
I wasn't balling out tonight. Just time.
All right, no worries.
I liked it. I feel like Chris is like our bookend with Gator Kirk. Gator Kirk seems to start the show, and Chris seems to close it out. So I liked it. I like that we got a closer.
All right, I'll take that. Closers usually exciting guys to watch.
Yeah,
flamethrower.
Wait, I was watching the interviews of the transfers, and one of the things I wanted to point out was it's probably because they're all a little older, but they are all really professional. I mean, these guys weren't joking around. They were, saying what they need to say and weren't cutting or beating around the bush. And one of the things I noticed they were talking about with the staff, and bear with me, this might be crazy, but Florida State might be one of the options this year where they can go somewhere and have a consistent staff. We haven't done a lot of changes. Nothing crazy's happened here. It's just Florida State.
Yeah, well, they do. There's a level of maturity that obviously you expect to get from guys that have been in college. Some of them since 2016 now. But yeah, it all comes across. They're intelligent. They're mature. That's why I was saying I think they fit into the locker room. They're going to fit into the locker room, and I think they're going to have more of an impact on the locker room than the locker room will have an impact on them. I think, and it's only positive. I do think that's big. That'll help. And yeah, it probably doesn't hurt that, no college teams really keep their staffs completely intact from year to year, but Florida State seems to have. So that probably doesn't hurt when you're looking at a place to go, especially if you're running away from an unstable situation. Stability like that probably looks pretty appealing. And so, yeah, I can see how that would be something that they would take into account too. But overall, yeah, I was really impressed. Really, with all of them, Jermaine Johnson, all of them. And I'm not impressed with DJ Williams. It's just he didn't have a ton to say. But the other four guys that talked and expounded on things were really impressive. Right, Aslan?
I like.
Go ahead, Chris.
Okay. Pierre Thomas. He was talking about how he is not picky at all. He doesn't care where he's put. Doesn't care what he's told to do. And those are the kind of guys I really like to hear from. You do get divas, and you do get guys that, sound like they might not learn from things like injuries, but he does legitimately sound honest about, learning from those things and liking that stuff, moving around, doing what he's told.
Yeah, he basically said, he was asked where he'd play or what he was going to do, and he's like, I think I'll be on the edge, but he's like, I don't care, man. I just play ball. I'll play where they put me. Which, yes, is a very refreshing attitude. But it also comes from a lot of confidence because he did that at South Carolina and was really good. And he knows he's good. And it was, I thought it was encouraging, too, the way Jamie Robinson spoke about him. None of that seemed artificial or manufactured. That seemed genuine. He's a dog. He's a dog. He works his tail off. He comes to work every day. I don't think another player, especially somebody that's been around him for 2 years, would say that if it's not true. He seemed to be really high on Thomas. And I don't know that's why they were going to probably offer him anyway, but when they got Jamie Robinson's approval, and yeah, you should definitely go after this guy because of his attitude, I think that was really enticing for Norvell and the staff as well. But yeah, I liked him a lot. He was impressive.
Last thing I got, probably for something you to think about there, Aslan. What if Warchant were to do a feature film interviewing and going over the process of the 2013 season, talking to players, breaking down what happened? It's almost investigative. I can't talk. Almost breaks down maybe what led to them being so successful and so dominant that season. How possible would that be one day?
Well, here's the problem, is that I'm very into the visual medium. Like my background's television. We wouldn't, unless like Florida State gave us copies of their video footage of those games, like the amount of money we'd have to spend to get from ESPN would be ridiculous. Like
just for the game footage, like the footage of Jameis's pass to Kelvin or any of them.
Yeah.
That costs money and we don't have the rights to it. Otherwise, we could always do a podcast, like breaking down the season.
What we could do at Renegades, I mean, it could be a loss leader. We could just rip off video from YouTube and just not, get paid for the hours and hours of work I put in. I would do it, but first I want to do 2014. I've said I am more interested in knowing what went wrong in 2014 than I am knowing like what was so great about 13, because 13 made sense to all of us, right? Like
Chris, doesn't that explain a lot about Aslan? Just his outlook on life, his perspective, that he'd rather do a 2014 documentary than one of the greatest teams of all time documentary. Why not do 2018?
There's no answers to what happened in 14. I know, like 13, like I'm all about it. I'm cool with doing victory laps. I promise you. But for me, like I'm more like they did the Tiger documentary, right? Like isn't the Tiger documentary like about his fall and then like the rise? It's not just like, hey, I'll just celebrate Tiger. Like it's like setting it in context.
Well, yeah, if we can get the scoop, if Charles Kelly will tell us, and Darby and people like that will sit in there and tell us, but that would be fun. And Chris, I've always thought, I've said this, I've tweeted about this for almost a decade now. I think ever since the fourth Miami 30 for 30 that they had was a 1990s 30 for 30, a 30 for 30 on the 1990s rivalry between Florida and Florida State would be incredible. Yeah. It's Spurrier Bowden. They played 12 times because they had two rematches in bowls. They both won national championships. Florida State won 2, Florida won 1. Just the amount of talent. Each time they played, all 12 times they played, both teams were ranked in the top 10, that's never going to happen ever again. Alabama and Auburn have met in top 10 teams a total of like 6 times in their histories where they were both ranked in the top 10. Florida and Florida State did it 12 times in a row. So I always thought that would be an incredible documentary. But 13 would be good too. There's a lot of good stories out there.
That's how I became a Florida State fan. My grandfather used to take me on a lot of fishing trips growing up, and when I was a little kid, one of his business partners, his daughter just graduated from Florida State, gave me a Florida State hat, and then lo and behold, that was the early 90s. So history writes itself there.
Yeah, that's the perfect time to become a Florida State fan. Imagine the people that are doing it now, and they're out there, and they almost deserve more respect than Chris or Wes. They jumped on board when things were great. Imagine the kid that jumped on board in 2020 and all the stuff he has to hear. You got to hold tight, partner. It's going to come around. Be a fan. It's going to come around, but hold tight. Hang in there. Don't jump ship. It'll come around eventually, and it's going to taste that much sweeter.
You know, also used to wear a Florida State hat back when they were younger.
Like the tomahawk.
That guy.
Yeah.
What's that now?
Oh no, just I was just thinking out loud. We appreciate the call, Chris. Anything else?
All right. No, you guys have a good one.
All right, man. Enjoy those steaks, man. What are the sides?
I had some scalloped potatoes and just green beans. Nothing great.
Man, that's a meal. That's a meal.
All right. Save that fire for the spring game, man. We appreciate you, Chris.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, we'll do. Later.
All right, that's a wrap. We made it to the end. We got some people that have super chatted us, so we're going to take those in a second, but wait for it.
We are sorry, but the show has ended. Goodbye.
Shout out to Terry, by the way, moderating the phone lines. You are a mensch. Appreciate
Always
it. Khalil's back. Wants to talk about history again. Retro. Loving it. A little of that. I'll get some of that. How long do you think it will be before Florida and Miami take back the state of Florida and become dominant all at the same time again, like back in the 90s. I hate seeing all of our talent go to Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, etc.
I think I'm on record. I've said this for years. I think it's going to be very hard for Miami to ever be anything like it was back in the day. It's hard. There's too many obstacles at that school right now, in my opinion, to get back. Florida State has enough obstacles, but they don't have the obstacles of, a stadium that's 30 minutes away, a private school, not a ton of fan interest, not great facilities. Like, there's a lot of things that are working against Miami. I think this comes. We've talked about this for a while, but it comes in cycles. I think Florida State and Florida can both be good again at the same time. It's not outlandish to think that that's going to happen again in our lifetimes. It's been a minute, but I think the guy they got at Florida, as weird as he is a very good coach. They're never going to be terrible. He's going to be pretty good to good every year. And if Norvell can get it rolling, man, I think that you would get to a point where 3-4 years from now, Florida State and Florida will be locking up most of the talent. But right now, if you're a big-time wide receiver and Alabama comes calling and Florida State comes calling and you were born in Palm Beach, I just feel like you're going to be like, well, I'm going to be away from home anyway. I might as well go play at that school. That's going to make me a first-round pick and probably put a ring or two on my finger. But Florida State can get back there one day. It's not Alabama's not going to be doing this forever. It's impossible. And neither is Ohio State. They're going to come down to earth eventually, and Florida State will rise up. Ohio State's had down years. We've lived through them. And Alabama has too. So it's not going to stay like this forever. There's no way you could have told any of us watching this show after 2014 that Florida State would never compete for a national championship again. With Jimbo, we thought it was going to be just every year you're going to win 10 or 11 games. And it hasn't really happened that way. But it can come back.
I would say, how many years, though, in the 90s were all three of us rolling, though? Like Miami, obviously 91. I would say
90 to 93, they were all good. 90 to 94, they were all good. Then Miami got hit by the probation and disappeared for about half a decade, and then got Miami again around 2000. So from 90 to 94, Miami played Nebraska in the sort of national championship game at the end of the 94 season. So, 90 to 94 that was the last time they were all three good.
Yeah, I don't know. You're always one good hire away, though. Like, that's the thing. Like, Miami just hasn't had a good coach since Butch Jones left. Butch Davis, sorry. I'm always going to get those two guys confused. Just like I'm always going to call them the San Diego Chargers and the Oakland Raiders. Just that's the way it's going to work. All right, one more on the way out. Jeff Hill. Jeff Hill, you get some love. Fire it off.
Dollar bills, y'all.
It's funny that I heard you talk about the Osceola, Corey, because my father got me a subscription back in the day when I was born into I can't read. My dyslexia is kicking in.
Well, I think he might be missing a comma there. But basically, his dad got him an Osceola subscription too when he back in the day, and he was born into a Florida State family like I was.
Okay.
And so that's so they're okay. There was another. Well, I don't know how old Jeff is, but if you were about 12 or 13, live in the he said his dad got him one, so probably was pretty young. That's good to know. I wasn't alone because man, that was especially when they won. Like when they, I just. Like when would that have been? I was 15 years old when they beat Michigan up at Michigan. I could not wait to get my Osceola to read all about that game. I was just so fired up about that game. But I had it for years. Every year for Christmas, my dad would re-up my subscription and be in my stocking. That's how you know I'm the truth.
James B just dropped this on us.
Yeah, I saw that earlier today. That's a bummer.
Oh, Don Sutton, man.
Don Sutton passed away. R.I.P. It's crazy. I was thinking about that too. Like if you're a baseball fan, like I am, like many people are, those broadcasters like Skip Carey, Pete Van Wieren, for me, they're like friends. And it was like when Skip Carey died, that was crushing. Like that's your childhood, man. Like how many summer nights did I spend listening to that guy talk? in literally 20 years of my life watching him and listening to him. Baseball broadcasters, even more so than any other team, any other sport, you feel like you become they're part of your family or part of your life. And it always crushes you a little bit more. And yeah, that's rough with Don Sutton, man, because he was the Braves guy I know he's a great pitcher first and foremost. Well, a pretty good pitcher that won a lot of games and got to the Hall of Fame. But he was a Braves announcer for 20 years or so. It just became a part of my life. So that's really, really sad.
Well, I don't want to go down on a bummer. I don't know. I just felt like I didn't know if you knew that, Corey. I just want to let you, the Braves fan, be dialed into that. Otherwise, maybe. Thanks, Paul. Paul letting us know that Emmett Rice said yesterday he's coming back to play. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate you correcting me from early in the show. All right, we're done. That's a wrap.
We did it. Marathon session.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's on you. I think that's my penance for being late. You're like, you know what? We're going 80 minutes.
Informal survey people. What if we didn't do phone calls? Just a thought. Just a thought. Not getting into just a thought.
What's the matter with you?
I'll be back tomorrow. I don't know what time. Maybe 5:30 with Michael Langston. We're going to talk Cruton, Destin Hill, Taiwan Malone, Portal. Yep. Thursday, Corey might be back. Ira's going to be here. We're going to do a happy hour, maybe at 5, maybe 5:30. And we're going to speak to players maybe next week.
Okay.
Again, pretty cool. So lots going on over at warchant.com as well as here on our YouTube page.
And the basketball team has a game Saturday against Clemson, who is ranked and who they lost to earlier in the year. So that's a big game too on Saturday afternoon. And so watch it. I can say to be there, but unless you're one of the lucky few, you can't be. But watch it on TV.
They said I think Malik Osborne said they circled it on their calendar. So It'll be a good one. Jeff Hill, Khalil Young, Ed Lemick, sorry, Ed. Courtney, I'm sorry. You can hit me with the demerit. Shane Kirkley, Thomas Giddings, James B., Mark Adamczyk. We appreciate you guys, as well as everybody who watched and stood through this whole entire hour and 22-minute slog. Hit the thumb up on your way out. He's Corey Amazon. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant presented by Zaxby's Indescribably